Ari was with me, oddly enough. It was the week before he drugged me.
Did you see the whole thing about that too?
What?
Like that whole thing online about how that's a bit. It was made up. You never seen that?
No.
He said he lied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't see it for real?
No.
It's like, it's pretty like somebody goes, come on. And then he goes, no, it's a whole bit we did. Like Ari tells that it's a whole bit.
Yeah. I don't really. He's a fun guy to have in your life, man.
All right, so Ari Shaffir continues to mess with Bert Kreischer. Recently, he went on a podcast and claimed the whole story about him dosing Bert never actually happened, and it's just a bit him and Bert came up with. But he was doing a bit when he said that, but even Tom believed it for a second. So Ari, he just can't help himself. Whenever there's an opportunity to troll Bert, he's going to take it. Like also when he did Two Bears a couple months ago, he made a joke about how Bert always makes everything about himself. And it sent Bert spiraling. I still don't think he's gotten over it. Like for some reason, he just couldn't believe Ari would say this, which is funny because this is exactly what you'd expect from Ari. I mean, also during this podcast, they had been talking about how much Ari likes to get a rise out of people. So Bert should know that's what Ari likes to do with him, but of course not. And only like 10 minutes later, Ari roasts Bert and he just snaps.
And then I started trolling.
Right.
Because it was like...
They're right there. They're presenting themselves for you.
It just took off on it, yeah.
Oh, it's the best.
It's fun, though. You find more joy in that than
it's just get a rise out of people. It's just so fun to deal with, just to like get rises.
It's fun to throw a grenade into a room, shut the door, and walk away and go, I don't care what happens.
Yeah. You get to be Joe, though.
Yeah, how are you going to be
Because Joe, what Joe
here's
does that you don't have the capacity to do is not make it all about himself.
Hold on. F off. Hold on. There's a clip. No, hold on.
That's a clip.
You.
There's got to be a clip out there of you not interrupting.
No.
Look that up.
I'm not interrupting. I'm having a fucking conversation.
Yeah, okay.
That's how conversations fucking work.
Agreed. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say, if you said and then I go, God, that's crazy. I would never be able to do that. And then because Joe's done that, he goes, don't make it about you. I go, but that's how life works. I think of things and I go, that's amazing. I could never run 25 miles.
Yeah.
Like I could never run 50 miles.
Yeah, so it's too easy for Ari to get in Bert's head. Like he was clearly just trying to bust his balls here, but Bert got so defensive and it sent him spiraling. I mean, it sounds like Bert has been thinking about this every day since, and he's continued to make everything about himself by talking about how much he makes everything about himself. And he acts like he doesn't even understand what that means, and he's all surprised that people would think he does that, which is crazy for him not to be aware of that, but I guess we are talking about Bert here, so it's not that surprising. And I don't think anybody really expects him to change that much at this point, but it sounds like since Ari's comment really got to him, he started to think about it more, and he had to ask his wife and Tom to explain to him how he makes everything about himself, and Tom had to spend like a whole podcast basically being his therapist.
When people are like
it sounds like you're coming to terms with it.
Ari said, you always make it about yourself. And Tom, I couldn't understand I don't know what that sentence means. Like,
really?
I really don't. And I don't know how I do it. And I said it to Leanne in Paris and I said, do I make things about myself? And she goes, yeah. And I said, but doesn't everyone? And she goes, no. And I was like, but wait, when do I do it? And she goes, you're doing it right now. She was like, we're at dinner and you're saying, do you make things you're making this about yourself? And I was like, wait, but I'm so confused. I actually was because Joe said it to me before.
Yeah.
Joe said it to me before on a podcast. Ari said it to me the other day. So I was like, in my head, I was like, I wonder if they've talked about it behind my back. And I was like, I might ask my friends to tell me when I'm doing it. Because if it bothers people, I want to stop.
Oh, it bothers people, but it's but you really don't know what that means. Like you don't understand what they're saying.
I don't know what that means. Like I don't understand.
What you do instinctively is go, here's what happened to me one time. So in their mind, they're telling the thing that happened to them, and you're pivoting it to something about you. So it's about.
I did that today. I just did that to you.
But I don't think this talk helped very much. And even though Tom was just trying to be honest with him, I think him telling Bert people find him annoying made Bert think Tom was attacking him, or something Tom said made Bert think that, because then after this, during an episode of Bertcast with Big J, in the beginning, Bert mentions how he interrupts too much, and Jay's like, dude, it's not that big of a deal, you're a comedian. So Bert gets all excited that somebody's finally defending him, and then he just starts going off on Tom and Ari.
And then I'll start the next one, and then I'll let you talk, because I'm so bad at interrupting people.
You're fine. Can I tell you something also? Let's have a super fun podcast right now.
Yeah.
Every clip
I'm watching of you on podcast now is you having some heartbreaking to yourself epiphany that you're a comedian. What you're being accused of is what he goes, oh, you're listening to my story, but you're really, as soon as you hear a key word, you start thinking of your story. Like, yeah. But every podcast clip is you going like this, Bert. You're going, I do? I do. You mean the crazier thing is you didn't realize it before. You're like, yeah, you're taking these things like, I do they? Yes, 100% all of us do.
Because I got a partner who doesn't fucking talk, and then he goes, you're always interrupting me. Then talk up, you motherfucker. Like, I'm so tired. Can I tell you, Jay, thank you so much. You know I'm talking about that in therapy? You know I'm talking about that in therapy? Stop. Is that I got to the point where I was hang on, Pierce, how much have I brought this up? Because I go, I don't know, man. I think and I talk. And now I'm like in conversations with people and I'm like, should I be like not thinking or should I just be listening and going, so how did that affect you?
You're supposed to laugh. You're supposed to big laugh and have fun and be the person you are. You're letting people bully you and they're trying to change your thing.
And they're my friends.
At your peak of fame.
And by the way, Ari Shaffir and Tom Segura. Ari Shaffir and Tom Segura. Ari Shaffir and Tom Segura. Those fucking, Ari fucked me up. Ari fucked me up where he goes, you make everything about yourself. And I was like, we're comics. We make everything about ourselves. You fucking asshole. Why would you stand on stage for an hour and speak and not listen to other people? You made it all about yourself. God damn it, Jay.
And I don't think Tom even complains that much about Bert. I mean, he obviously knows Bert interrupts too much and makes everything about himself, but it doesn't seem like he cares that much. So it's funny he started going off on Tom here because I think he's just upset that Tom was explaining to him how he makes everything about himself after Bert asked him to. Like, Tom was trying to help him, but he ended up getting caught up in this. And during the most recent Two Bears, Tom called him out on it and is like, dude, why did I get shit for that? And Bert admits Tom didn't deserve it. He's like, oh yeah, you caught a stray, my bad. So it's crazy how much Ari's comment got to him and it caused him to lash out at Tom for no reason.
That's why
he sold it really well. Yeah. But you're a fucking asshole too. Let me tell you this, what you did.
What I do?
You with fucking Jay Okerson. I saw a clip where he's like, everybody says that, like,
everyone's critiquing every part of my personality.
No, and then you're like, Tom's a fucking Ari's a, and I'm like, yo, it was right after.
You caught a stray. You caught a stray.
Thank you.
You caught a stray. That was unfair.
It was a day after you go, I'm actually find myself not interested in what people say, but I'd like to be interested. Then you're like, Tom's a fucking speak up, motherfucker. I'm like, what?
And it's funny because I don't think Ari even cares that much about Bert making everything about himself. Like, I think he only said that because he probably knew Bert was sensitive about it. It's not like Ari was just getting so annoyed with Bert he had to mention it. He just said it as a joke. And him and Tom have known Bert for a long time, and I don't think they really expect him to change at this point. I mean, it's true he makes everything about himself, but everybody already knows that, except for Bert, apparently. Like, that was the craziest part. I figured Bert, he knew that, but just didn't care. But I guess I gave him too much credit. He has even less self-awareness than I thought. But it's funny that Ari Shaffir is the one that made him aware of this by just making a joke about it. It caused Bert to rethink how he talks to people.
But I get so sensitive to the fact that like, people go, why the fuck? Bert's making this all about himself. Like, Joe said that, Ari said that, Tom said that. And those are my three of my closer friends. And then I was like, and then Ari said to me, he goes, I'm just busting your balls. And I was like, well, yeah, but you're fucking with my head a little bit. Like, you're making me question how to talk to you.
And then Bert starts talking about how Ari also makes everything about himself by acting like a lunatic. And it's too bad Bert didn't say this right after Ari roasted him, because I think most people would have been like, yeah, Bert's got a point. But instead, Bert was just too offended to even think of a comeback. And he's also just too nice to Ari. I mean, even before Bert makes fun of him here, he has to preface it by saying how much he likes him. Even after all the stuff Ari's done to him, Bert still can't just roast him without being like, but I really like this guy. I don't want to have to say this. At this point, just make fun of him. I think Ari would probably respect it more.
Look at the whole thing about, like, Ari lighting me up about not making everything about myself, as if Ari doesn't make everything about himself. In retrospect, I wanted to say to Ari, and I love Ari and I've been friends with him forever. I was like, so you shitting on a pizza box or whatever to promote your special, were you making that about yourself? Why didn't why, where is the introspection?
Yeah, he made Skankfest about himself in that moment. It was it's like he pushed the boundary past maybe what we were even allowed to do his thing.
Or him getting Tony fined at Madison Square Garden $100,000 where he pulled his dick out.
Did he really?
Yeah, you didn't make that about yourself. Like, but my thing is, like, I don't see the world like that. I don't see the accuse you of like, you make everything about yourself. I just go, well, yeah, that's who I am. I'm a little bit that
I was going
guy.
to say, it's what you just said right there. It's like, well, that's Ari being Ari.
Yeah. He's Ari. That's why I like him.
If you invite Ari, he might shit on something.
If you don't like me, then say that out loud.
And you'd think if Bert really knows Ari, then he would know that he was just trying to mess with him when he made that comment. But he took it so personally, and even Ari's probably surprised it turned into all this. But of course, this isn't going to stop him from screwing with Bert. And during the next episode of Bertcast, Ari showed up at the end of it and made everything about himself by peeing into a wine glass in the middle of Bert's studio.
Okay.
Does it bother you?
You know what? Because you have a very
trying.
viral clip going this
You're
week.
trying?
I'm trying to get it going. Christine, turn around.
I had a moment.
What are you doing? No, just go into the bathroom. Don't do it in front of her. We have all women here, and it's streaming live downstairs.
It sure is streaming.
No. All right, just go downstairs. We're going to have to use that cup later. We're going to have to. Yeah, Ari. Ari, this is like me not listening. You're going to have way more than that in there.
You think so?
You're going to have way more than that in there.
It's
That's
more.
not big enough.
It's more.
So I don't think he'll ever stop doing shit to Bert. And now Bert's probably nervous that Ari might make him react to the new Crack Amico song about him. Because last year, if you remember, Ari made Bert react to Two Bears, One Grave, and it really fucked him up. Like, Ari called Bert on Legion of Skanks and told him to react to the song and then call back in and give his thoughts on it. Which, during the podcast, Bert actually handled pretty well, but he said it ruined his weekend, and I'm sure he's pissed at them for making him do this.
Hello?
Hey, Bert.
Hey. What the fuck kind of shade am I getting from this Crack Amico?
It's a hilarious rap he made about you and Tom.
Yeah, he's obviously a fan of yours.
He's a fan. He is a fan.
It was called
I promise you he's a fan.
Wait, it was called Two Bears, One Grave. Has he not seen it? No, he hasn't seen it. So hold on, whoa,
Yeah.
one second. Bert, we're gonna send it to you right now. Watch it and then call us right back.
All right, send it to me right now.
Okay.
Go right now.
That's so great.
Oh, so glad you sent that to me.
First takes.
That guy really's done his research.
That's my point. He's a fan. He's a fan of all
He
of
knows
us.
more about me than my fucking wife. Holy shit. Yeah, that's he's very talented.
Yeah.
I can't shit on his flow and everything. And he's like, you've never had to struggle. You came from a rich father. I was like, God damn it, I didn't know anyone knew that.
I didn't know that.
No, my dad wasn't rich, but it's like that. Obviously, I don't think Crack Amico probably knew his dad. It sounds like.
Shots fired.
I'm just saying, like.
And during this, Bert told Crack Amico if he were to bend the knee and make a positive song about him, then he'd bring him on tour. But of course, Bert is a liar, and Crack made the song, and Bert didn't have him on tour. And then he went around telling everybody that Crack is scared of him, and he got him to apologize. It's hilarious. Like, the whole Crack Amico versus Bert Kreischer beef is great.
And it fucked a weekend up for me. A weekend I was just really bothered by it. They called me on Legion of Skanks and they were like, what did you think of it? And I was like, it sucked. I was like, I wish I hadn't seen it. I wish I hadn't seen it, and I wish it was about someone else. What are you looking for? And then he did an apology video. He sent me a DM, this guy. He was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm a huge fucking fan. And it's clear when you watch this song, he knew who my dad's old clients were. Like, he knew shit that only a mega fan would know. And he said, I'm so sorry. I am a massive fan, and I got caught up in the hate to get views, and he put out a huge apology video. I've seen him in person. He's a smaller statured dude, and he's a nice guy. I just saw him at Skanks Fest recently. He was terrified of me. Like, I wanted to say hi to him, and he ran away. Oof. I know.
And if Bert thinks Crack Amico's apology was genuine, then he should have him on tour. I mean, that was the deal, but I think Bert's scared of him. There are rumors when Crack was trying to perform Two Bears, One Grave at Skankfest, Bert cut the song off and was booing Crack Amico at one point. So we have two very different stories here. But if Bert wants to prove he's an honest man, he'd bring Crack on tour. But I don't think he will. I mean, I think he has PTSD from Two Bears, One Grave. Like, when he was on Story Wars with Shane Gillis Shane mentioned his dad being a lawyer, and Bert's all surprised that Shane knew that. And Shane's like, yeah, I've heard about it. And Bert, you could tell, thinks of Two Bears, One Grave, and he's like, oh, are you kidding me? And he starts doing his high-pitched squeal noise, and he's like, you asshole, fuck you. And Shane just seems confused. He's like, what, is that a secret? Was I not supposed to say that? And it's funny because Bert has mentioned his dad being a lawyer a bunch of times during podcasts, but for some reason he acts like it's some secret information that only Crack and Miko knew about.
My dad's a bottle cap salesman. Your dad's a lawyer. I'm not calling Hey Phil. Wake up.
Wait, you know what my dad does?
I've heard about it.
Would my
You
Is it a secret? I don't know.
fucking asshole!
Is it a secret? All right, delete that. My bad. Shit, my next one's going to be bad.
all right, we got to get our votes in.
Yeah, so that Crack and Miko song haunts him, and of course Ari's the one who started this by having Bert react to it. I mean, he just causes Bert so many problems. You know, he ruined Bert's weekend with that, and then making that comment about how Bert tries to make everything about himself. That like ruined the past few months for Bert. So Ari just knows how to get to him. But I'm glad he started the Crack and Miko beef. And if you want to hear more about that, I covered it on Patreon when it was happening, which Crack and Miko ended up getting pissed at me for, and he started trashing me at one point. So it was getting ugly. And there are over 120 other exclusive videos on there. And I recently just talked about one of the cringiest podcasts I've seen in a while. Rick Glassman went on Trash Tuesday and started roasting their podcast, and they got all offended by it and had to tell him to stop being so mean. So if you enjoy the channel, I highly recommend checking it out. There's a lot to go through. I'll put a link in the description.